Hey, awesome people. Mr. C here with you. We are in our fractions series. Super excited you are joining us today. Make sure if you learn anything new, click the like and subscribe button. Join us as we continue making math understandable and challenging. In this video, we are going to be comparing two fractions with different denominators using fraction models. All right, so one more time, we are going to be comparing fractions with different denominators using fraction models. All right, let me catch you up on what you've missed. If this is your first video, welcome. In the description below, you will find our 4th grade playlist for fractions. You will also find our 3rd grade and 2nd grade playlist all in the description below. Check those out if you are new to fractions or if you just need a refresher. Join us, watch those videos, catch up to where we're at today. I am super excited about what we are going to be doing because this skill is really important. So with that being said, let's compare two fractions with different denominators using fraction models. Well, ladies and gentlemen, you know what I'm going to say to start off this video. I say it every video. Make sure you have the correct mindset before you get started. Have a growth mindset. You may not know this yet. That's the key word, yet. Do not give up. Challenge yourself. Find your mistakes. If you make a mistake, find it. Fix that mistake. All right? Mistakes help our brain grow. Don't give up on that. With this video today, I'm very excited about it because comparing fractions is something that's going to be really important when we start adding and subtracting fractions. And this one here, if you remember in our previous video, this is our 2nd video comparing fractions, specifically in the 4th grade standard. Our last video that we did, we were using a number line to compare fractions. And that's a really good strategy to use. By drawing a number line, showing where your fractions are on that number line helps you be able to say which one is greater, which one is less, are they equal to each other. What I'm going to do today is show you another strategy to compare fractions. And we are specifically focusing on fractions that have different denominators. And if you look at the screen here, I've got the fraction 2/3 and the fraction 3/4. And the first thing you probably notice is that the denominators are the same. Or excuse me, the denominators are different. I'm already making my mistakes. Thanks for sticking with me. So the denominators are different. The thing that I want you to keep in mind is when we are using these fraction models, what do you notice about my two models here? Hopefully you notice that they are the same size. That is really important. For us to compare fractions, if we are going to draw a picture for fractions, make sure your pictures are the same size. And what I mean by that is if you look at this model, this rectangle I have drawn here, both of these rectangles are the same size. That is the only way you can draw a picture and compare them. You have to make sure that your fraction models are the same size. So, with all that being said, you can probably get started on this one on your own. What I want you to do is I want you to take 2/3 and I want you to draw it on this fraction model. Okay, so we're going to take 2/3 and we're going to draw it on this fraction model. So what we're going to do is we're going to break it up into 3 equal size pieces. So here we go. Let's see. Here's 1. Here's 2. Let's see. 1, 2, 3. There we go. I'm going to shade it in here. I'm going to shade in 2 out of the 3. So here's 1. And here is 2. All right, so there is 2/3. Let me know if I made a mistake there, but I think it looks pretty good. So we've got 2/3. I'll even write it up here so we have it. Real quick question for you. What would, if this section here was shaded in, how much would that be? Yeah, if this section here was shaded in, that would be 3/3. Very good. All right, keep that in mind. 3/3 would be equal to 1. That's a little side piece there for you. All right, let me get that all out of the way. I don't want to distract us because I get easily distracted. All right, so we did 2/3. Now I want you to show 3/4 on this fraction model down here. All right, so let's see if we can get 3/4. There's 1, there's 2, there's 3, and there is 4. I'm going to color in 3 out of the 4. So here's 1. Here's 2. And here is 3. Boom, there it is. I'll even write it in. 3/4. So, do you remember there were 3 symbols that we've been talking about when we are comparing fractions? Think for a second, what are those 3 symbols that we've been talking about? One of them looks like this. Another one looks like this. And the last one looks like this. All right. This first symbol is less than. This next symbol is greater than. And I know you know what this symbol here is. That is the equal sign. Okay. So what we are going to do is we are going to figure out which of these symbols we are going to put between these fractions to make this true. All right, we want to make this true here. We want to make this inequality true. Well, what are you noticing from our picture? What are you noticing from our fraction models? Are you noticing that 2/3, if you look at the thirds, so this is a third here, and this is a fourth. Are you noticing that a third is a lot more than a fourth? Look at that. If this was a cookie, like a cookie cake, and we were cutting it up, I would want a third of a slice because that's going to be bigger than a fourth of a slice. Okay, but in our problem, what we're doing is we're comparing 2/3 and we're comparing 3/4. So the sizes for the fourths are smaller, but if you have 3/4, do you have less than, more than, or the same amount as 2/3? Well, I can look at this fraction model and see here is where my 3/4 is. More is colored in on the 3/4. My fraction model has more for 3/4 than my fraction model for 2/3. So that means that 3/4 is going to be the bigger fraction. Okay? Now, which symbol am I putting in here? Am I saying 2/3 is less than 3/4? Is 2/3 greater than 3/4? Or is 2/3 equal to 3/4? Think for a second. It should be this symbol here. Do you know how to say it? This is how you say it. Listen carefully here. 2/3 is less than 3/4. 2/3 is less than 3/4. All right. Where did you make a mistake at? What doesn't make sense? Where are you confused? Ask yourself those questions. Try to figure it out. If you can't figure it out, that is okay. Stick with it. Let's try another problem and see if we can help you figure it out. See if we can help you find your mistakes. Try another one with me. All right, I've got our next one up on the screen. Before you freak out, it's going to be very similar to what we've already done. I know you looked at it and you're like, Mr. C, why is your fraction model turned this direction? Because, and I've said this before, we're all going to do math a little bit differently. Sometimes you may draw it and you may draw it horizontally. Other times you may draw a rectangle and do it vertically. Doesn't really matter. Make sure though, listen to this, make sure that your models are the same size. Notice this model on the left is the same size as the model on the right. That is really important if we are going to compare 3/8 and 1/2. Okay, let's get started with this one. We're going to start with the 3/8. We need to draw 3/8 on this fraction model. Okay, so let's see if I can do that. Remember, I am getting better at this drawing thing. Some of y'all, I saw some videos of some people practicing these, and y'all were doing some amazing work drawing all these things. All right, let me see how many I have. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. How did I do? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Let's go. All right, how many am I coloring in? I'm coloring in 3 of them. So here's 1. Here is 2. And here is 3. All right. So we've got 3/8 here represented on the left. Now we've got to put 1/2 on the right. Let's change colors. I'm going to go with orange if that's cool with y'all. So I need 2 equal sections. Here we go. Draw in 2 equal sections. That one was a lot simpler for me. I don't know if it was simpler for you. All right, let's color in 1/2 of it. I like it whenever it's 1/2. There we go. There is 1/2. So I'm going to label a few things and ask you a couple questions here. This here is 1/2. We know that on the right. How much is one of these sections? So I'm going to draw an arrow when I'm talking about. How much is just one section on this fraction model? One section is worth 1/8. Okay. Do you notice how small those sections are for 1/8? Remember, I've said this before. The bigger your denominator gets, the smaller the pieces are going to get. The sections are going to get. Okay. The equal size pieces get smaller because of that. 1/2 over here on the right, it's only 2 sections, so it's a lot bigger of a piece. Okay. Now, let me draw in my symbols real quick. So we've got less than, greater than, equal to. So we've got our fractions. We have drawn the fraction models on the screen. What are you noticing? All right, what are you noticing? Well, I hope you notice that I drew outside the lines a little bit. So I'm going to make sure I work on my coloring a little bit. Besides that, what I also notice is that, again, my fraction models are the same size. The pieces are different sizes because the fractions we have are different. So when you look at these 2 fraction models, what is it telling you? What is the fraction models? What are these fraction models telling you? Well, they should tell you which symbol needs to go in our inequality down here. Is 3/8 going to be less than 1/2? Is 3/8 greater than 1/2? Or is 3/8 equal to 1/2? What are y'all thinking? Well, Mr. C is thinking that it should be the less than symbol. 3/8 is less than 1/2. All right. We've done 2 problems now. Ask yourself, where are you getting stuck at? Is something not making sense? Where are you confused? Did you make a mistake? If you did, pause for a second. Try to find your mistake. If you can find your mistake, you are on the right path. All right? If you can't find your mistake, stick with us. Okay, let's try one more problem together. Okay, take a look. What we have up here on the screen. I'll tell you what it looks like we have up here on the screen. It looks like we've got 2 giant eyeballs looking at us is what it looks like to me. It looks like I've got a giant fly on my screen. But this time we're going to go with a circle because, again, it doesn't matter what fraction type model you draw. They just need to be the same size. Okay? Make sure they're the same size. Honestly, circles is the hardest one for me, but I always like to do it because some people love to use the circle model. Personally, the circles are the most challenging, but that's okay. All right, I'm not going to give up. I'm going to practice it and see if I can get better at it. So here we go. Two fractions. We've got 7/10. We've got 5/6. Let's see if we can do 7/10 over here on the left. I've broke it into 2 pieces. Now I've broke it into 4 pieces. Now I've got 6 pieces. 8 pieces, I think. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh man, this is always the most challenging. I think I'm gonna have to restart on mine. Sorry guys. This one, told you, it's my toughest one. Drawing it on the circle model is the toughest one for me, so stick with me. There we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Boom. Still not great. Stick with me. See, sometimes Mr. C's got to keep practicing. I don't like giving up either on it. All right. These is the hardest one for me. I don't know why, but it always is. The circles are so hard. All right. I'm going to do better this time. Oh my gosh. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Ah, that looks terrible, guys. Alright, hopefully it doesn't mess you up too bad. Alright, on this one over here, I'm going to go with 5, 6. Let's see if I can break that up accordingly here. So I've got, whoops, need 5 or 6 sections. Let's see how I do. I do better with these straight lines, honestly. There we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I did way better on that one. Come on now, give me some props. That was way better. Okay, I'm gonna color in this one on the left 7/10, even though it just looks horrible. Alright, color in 7/10 here. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4. Bum, bum, bum. Gotta challenge yourself sometimes, people. Gotta challenge yourself. Even with drawings, sometimes you gotta challenge yourself. How many I got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I need one more. There we go. There is 7 out of 10. Wow. All right, Mr. C is going to do better next time. Thanks for being patient with me, people. All right, 5, 6 here. So let me color these in. I actually kind of like coloring in the circles, though, the best, just because it kind of reminds me of like a pizza. So that's why I like coloring in the circle ones better. All right, so there's 3. Here is 4. And let's get 4 and 5 drawn in here. Y'all probably already finished and you're waiting on me. There we go. All right, so I've got both my fraction models. It only took me forever, and one of my pictures needs a lot of work. But nevertheless, I've got it done. So what are you noticing? First thing I'm noticing is the fraction models are the same size. The next thing I'm noticing is that this piece right here on the fraction model on the left, one little piece equals 1/10. Okay, so every single piece is worth a tenth. Okay, and that's something I think is really important to notice, is because we haven't done a lot with a circle, so I wanted to point it out. But if you take a look, again, the bigger the denominator, the smaller the pieces. Over here on the right, we've got our pieces all set up here. You know, I did make a mistake that I need to fix real quick, actually, guys, so give me a second. But over here on this right one, all right, we have 6 equal sections. It looks way better than my one on the left. But one of the things I want you to notice is, do you notice how much bigger the pieces are on this model on the right? Okay, do you notice that? These pieces on the model on the right are a lot bigger. And what I just did was, the reason that I had to erase that and restart is because I didn't start coloring in my model from the same direction. Okay, and what I mean by that is, did you see how I was coloring it in a different way? You can't do that, okay? And that's another thing, and I'm really glad I actually made that mistake, because it helps me kind of point out what I did. I'm actually going to show you what I did. So what I just did was I erased what I had up here that looked like this. And the reason I erased that is because, notice on my model on the left, I started coloring and I went to the right. Okay, I started right up here at the top. Notice over here, I started over here on the left on this fraction model. So I may have drawn them the same size, but I made it really hard on myself to be able to compare them. Could I compare it? Yeah, I still could figure out which of these fractions is larger. But I just made it more difficult on myself, and that's why I erased it, and that's why I made it look like this here. Okay, now it's a lot simpler for me to be able to look and see them. Okay, so glad I actually made that mistake. It's good for me to point that out. So we've got our two fractions here. We've got 7/10 and we've got 5/6. So this here it's pretty close. You know, if I'm looking at this, it's pretty close, these two fractions. But I think we can figure out which one is larger. Taking a look at 7/10 here, take a look. It ends under a quarter. Okay, if we look at 5/6 here, it's a lot smaller of a piece that's left over compared to this section in 7/10. And what I'm looking at is all this white space. You see how there's a lot more white space? There's a lot more sections that are available than over here on 5/6. So to make this inequality true, we would say that 7/10 is less than 5/6. All right. Again, this strategy, we did the number lines comparing fractions. This is another strategy that you can use. I firmly believe draw pictures helps you solve math. Don't be afraid. If you don't really know, draw a picture. See if it can help you out. Make sure your picture, though, make sure the models are the same size. Okay? Rewatch this video if you need to. I do have our practice problems video in the description below. If you're ready for a few more challenge problems, make sure you click that link in the description. And if you learned anything new today, make sure you click the like and subscribe button. Join us as we continue making math understandable and challenging. I'm very excited about where we're moving in this direction. We are about to get to where we are going to be multiplying to create equivalent denominators. I am very, very excited for that. Make sure you're on the lookout for it. That is all I have for you today, ladies and gentlemen. Mr. C, out.